In the headlines to the CBC NewsNight, legislation coming to make Barbados more inclusive for persons with disabilities. Barbados calls for reform of the United Nations. Barbados' culinary creativity on show as the Food and Rum Festival climaxes.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening and welcome to the CBC NewsNight. I'm Wendy Burke with details. Proposed legislation to make Barbados more inclusive for persons with disabilities will be before Parliament by year end. This assurance from Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs Kirk Humphrey. He was contributing to parliamentary debate on a resolution regarding a national policy for improving the lives of persons with disabilities. Minister Humphrey says there was no pushback on most of what was outlined in the national policy. He thanked all the organizations representing the disabled community, the Advisory Committee, and the National Disabilities Advocate Edmund Hinkson, along with Barbadians and the NGO sector for their input. Several members of the disabled community, along with their supporters, were present for the debate. Minister Humphrey says he and his team are willing to meet with the opposition Democratic Labour Party on the policy.
At a time of his choosing, myself, the Honourable Member for St. James North, and my team would be willing to come and to meet with him as well to go through the details of this policy so that you can get the information directly from us. And of course, members of the disabled community, I'm certain, would cherish the opportunity to meet with the Leader of the Opposition. Because it will be a crying shame, Madam Deputy Speaker, if we were to try to make this one a political one.
Minister Humphrey says it must be recognized the disabled community has immense potential as he weighed in on the challenges that still exist. He says more can be done to improve their lives, including the areas of education and transportation. The latter, he says, is a major issue for the disabled.
Traversing to and from various places across Barbados is extremely costly and very difficult. Even for the two brilliant disability advocates who work in our ministry, if they're unable to get a drop, when they tell me what they have to pay in taxi fare to get to the office, sometimes I feel terrible when I insist, like I did yesterday, that they have to come in because it is so costly. And in their case, they may have the fortune of people who may be willing to provide them a ride here and there, but many people don't, Madam Deputy Speaker. Many people do not have that opportunity. And the transportation needs of persons with disabilities are underserviced, even in the National Disabilities Unit.
Government is looking to tackle retrofitting its buildings by January next year. Minister in the Prime Minister's office with responsibility for finance, Ryan Strawn, says even the Parliament building needs to be changed. He says discussions have been ongoing with the National Disabilities Unit.
So we're not waiting until legislation, as I hope the country would recognize we have not. We have been doing things along the way to make sure that we are not waiting for the perfect piece of legislation to then start doing things. And therefore the NDU will be developing that plan that we will support to ensure that all of government's buildings over a 3-year period can be retrofitted and to ensure then that persons with disabilities can traverse any government building.
It's not just government buildings that will require adjustments. New disability legislation will require the owners of all public buildings to ensure they can be accessed by people with disabilities. The revelation from Member of Parliament Edmund Hinkson, who served as chairman of the Advisory Committee for Improving the Lives of People with Disabilities. He says it is part of government's efforts to ensure people with disabilities have access to the built environment.
So I believe that all buildings for which the public has access to under town planning legislation and regulations, conditions must have access for persons with disabilities. All new buildings. Of course, though, that leaves the buildings that are there now, and in a lot of cases, let's face fact, there's a difficulty. And Under the draft legislation, owners of these buildings, operators of them, will be given time to retrofit these buildings, because it can't be that a person with disabilities can't get in a building that the public is invited into.
Leader of the opposition Democratic Labour Party, Ralph Thorne, wants consensus found on further advancing the disabled community. He believes Barbados is still not fully accommodating to the disabled and called for the dismantling of barriers. Mr. Thorne recognized strides made under the DLP and the elevation of then-Senator Carrie Ann Eiffel to the post of President of the Senate. He says the then administration saw her fit for the position.
Those who appointed her were not expressing any condescension. They were saying, you are fit to be the head. You are fit to sit at the apex of this highest body within our parliamentary system. And so there was no condescension there. And then as a society, we moved from condescension and we developed a more positive and a more healthy relationship with our fellow citizens of disability.
Mr. Thorne further welcomed news of pending legislation promised by Minister Humphrey. Small island developing states have another seat at the table in major global discussions. This is as a result of the appointment of Minister of Industry, Innovation, Science and Technology, Marcia Cadell, to the Digital Innovation Board of the International Telecommunications Union. The appointment was announced during a meeting of the board in Malta. This board provides expertise and advocates for projects which foster digital innovation and entrepreneurship at all levels. One key strategy used by the board is the establishment of digital transformation labs and digital acceleration centers globally. In these centers, developers and technologists collaborate to solve problems and build innovation spaces to develop the digital economy. Minister Cadell declared that Barbados was ready to advance in the area of innovation and the provision of spaces where people could test problem-solving ideas.
Even the best technology cannot thrive without modernizing governance. And that means having an agile public sector with an orientation towards yes, and with systems that match. So we expect that such a sandbox will attract entrepreneurs in a range of sectors and will challenge us as government to meet their passion and their ingenuity.
The director of the ITU Telecommunication Development Bureau, Dr. Cosmas Zavazavaza, believes Minister Cadell's inclusion is important because it adds more expertise and the perspective of small island developing states to the discussion. Minister Cadell underscored the importance of innovation and problem-solving forums to the lives of people. She reiterated her belief that innovation can be used to improve the quality of life for all.
Right now, the new focus, the new industrialization, happens to be digital transformation. But the thing to understand is that technology is a tool for us to deliver for our people the things that they have always needed and that they continue to need. Things like relevant education, health and wellness, infrastructure, freedom, and ultimately wealth creation and choice and prosperity. So the challenge for us is to use the tool of technology, the tool of digital transformation, to deliver real development in those ways.
Coming up, a new partnership brings together two local attractions. Two of Barbados' attractions have entered into a management partnership to boost numbers and the bottom line. Hunt's Gardens will now be managed by Chukka Adventure Caribbean, which runs Harrison's Cave. Our Rachel Agard tuned in to a coffee table chat to share plans on the venture.
Group Chief Executive Officer of Chukka Adventures Caribbean, Mark Melville, says this new partnership is expected to increase employment at the 3-acre property. However, he stresses that Chukka is a tenant of Hunt's Gardens and are there to offer assistance to increase revenue. Additionally, they are set to enhance tour experiences and create a 3-part documentary on owner and operator of Hunt's Gardens, Anthony Hunt, for all visitors to view.
The key is not just to push people through the site. The key is to increase the yield so that the footprint doesn't grow as fast as the revenue, because you want to preserve the site. And when you increase the yield, it allows us to have more money available to reinvest, maintain, develop, and continue ensuring that it's here for a very long time to come.
And Mr. Hunt is concerned that one of the main classes of people which the country lacks is gardeners. He says those who call themselves gardeners or landscapers are not trained in the craft, and he has proposed a solution to have local artisans taught by those further afield. He was speaking following a tour of his Coffee Gully St. Joseph property, which he and Chucker will now manage together.
The whole idea of being a gardener, or some people call themselves in Barbados landscapers, well, that means they have a lawnmower, 2 weed whackers, and 2 friends going down the road, and they trim the lawn. Well, the lime tree is definitely going to die because they don't know that you shouldn't chop off the bark. And it's not their fault. These are entrepreneurs that are trying to make a living. But Barbados needs something. And through now joining with this great company, Chucker, thank God they came to Barbados, this great company, I'm going to start a foundation.
Barbadians and tourists alike are invited to experience the new Hunt's Gardens starting November 1st. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
Barbados' culinary creativity was on full display at Liquid Gold, the finale of this year's Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.'s Food and Rum Festival. The creme de la creme of the top local chefs and mixologists pulled out all the stops to tantalize the taste buds of Barbadians and tourists alike at the Concord Experience. Rachel Agard has that story.
The Barbados Concord Experience was transformed into a sea of gold as this year's Food and Rum Festival, held under the theme Feeding the Future, saw an increase in international ticket sales as well as increased interest from the Trinidad and Tobago market. And tourism officials held back no punches as they highlighted to the world why Barbados is well known for hosting the ultimate foodie's dream weekend. International media and media influencers were also present to capture the essence of the island's festival and to reinforce Barbados' spot as the culinary capital of the Caribbean. BTMI's Director of Public Relations and Communications, April Thomas, says tourism officials were extremely happy with the entire season.
From all accounts, people had an amazing time. There were lots of new introductions, including the feast table with one of our local chefs using lots of local preserves, jams, chutneys, meats, and so on. And we're just really proud of how we were able to showcase such an amazing display of local culinary talent.
She reflected on the festival, which started with the Junior Chef Cook-Off competition and included pop-up events, an opening night at Oyston's Bay Garden, a Rum Root Street Party, and the Rise and Rum Breakfast Beach Fete.
Overall, I would say the festival was a success in terms of us meeting our targets, not just for a well-executed festival, but also all of the promotion that we were able to do of our chefs and mixologists around the world in our source markets. We have been promoting the Food and Rum Festival in the US, Canada, UK, Europe, Latin America, and the Caribbean for the entire year, and it's led to an increase in international demand, which we think is the reason for a lot of the events being sold out at least 4 weeks before the festival.
Looking forward, Ms. Thomas says selling out 4 weeks before this year's festival shows there is room for more growth and greater capacity without sacrificing the quality of the festival.
I think finding that middle ground is really important, but all of the BTMI teams around the world will continue to promote the Barbados Food and Rum Festival in our source markets to make sure that every year we're continuing to win the awards on the international stage and to continue to showcase the best of Barbadian culinary talent. around the world.
Tourism officials now turn their attention to planning the next festival. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
Barbados says the United Nations at 79 years is in need of reform. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Kerry Simmons says the organization must continue to be relevant in the face of today's challenges. He says it's a vital and viable institution which must be protected and promoted.
The painful truth is that this institution is, as I said, impacted by a number of challenges and a number of distractions. And very often those distractions are causing leaders of the world to pay less attention than would be ideal for some of the fundamental things that we have to be able to deal with. It is a source of deep concern for those of us coming from countries in the developing South. Last month at the UN General Assembly, the Prime Minister of Barbados would have made a plea, and she asked that we hit the reset button. And she asked that we hit the reset button against the reality of a number of fundamentals that I think are self-evident.
Minister Simmons' comments came at a function at the UN House to commemorate UN Day. UN Day was observed on October 24th, the day the United Nations Charter came into force in 1945. The minister zeroed in on developments in the Middle East and wars involving Israel and other parties. He believes the senseless slaughter of lives must come to an end. Meanwhile, UN resident coordinator to Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, Simon Springett, stressed the importance of partnerships as he reflected on the progress made.
At its heart, the United Nations is about partnership. It is about people coming together with a shared commitment to serve, to uplift, and to solve the world's most pressing challenges. As I look around the room, I'm inspired to see not just colleagues, but partners and friends who share a common purpose. It is especially inspiring to see the faces representing our 394 United Nations staff members and the Bretton Woods institutions who work tirelessly every day across the Eastern Caribbean to advance sustainable development.
Time now for some sports news with Mark Seal. Mark, what's the latest?
Half centuries from Tevin Imlach and Kimo Paul set the stage for a commanding batting performance by the Guyana Harpy Eagles in their ongoing opening match of the CG United Super 50 Cup against Windward Islands Volcanoes in Trinidad and Tobago. Tomorrow, Barbados Pride will play Jamaica Scorpions at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy from 9 a.m. That game will be live on MCTV's ESPN channel 302. We'll take a break here, come back with some volleyball. Newly promoted WOW Foundation scored a major upset last night when the Goddard Enterprises Limited Senior Volleyball Knockout semifinals were staged at the Wilde Gym. Foundation marched into the women's final after knocking out Chargers, and they'll now face UWI Blackbirds. The men's final will be between perennial finalists, defending champions Deacons, and Chargers. CBC's Anmar Goodrich Boyce reports.
A spot in the big final up for grabs with newly promoted WOW Foundation closer to your screen, battling against Chargers. We pick it up in the final set where Foundation were leading 3-1, and Tiara Johnson does well at the net for Foundation. The next rally is where Chargers were in their groove. Strong spike from Foundation, but an even stronger block at the net to put Chargers on the board. Chargers were down but not out. Look at this. Kenisha Marshall-Webster with the spike off the net, but it's good. Foundation were on a mission to stage a massive upset, and they did just that. But it wasn't until after this long rally. Destiny Lane, the main destroyer. First bite at the cherry is blocked, but the second is absolutely devastating. Foundation into the finals, defeating Chargers 25-21, 19-25, 25-15, and 25-19. Women's semi-final number 2 was between Burger King Clapham Toners in orange and black versus UE. Toners making good use of the court, looking for some early points, and they got them as Shakira Smiley Hall smacks this one long and out of bounds. Toners benefited as well from good volleyball of their own, sharing the ball around the court before this. Magnificent from Donnie Allen, pure class. Smiley Hall, however, redeemed herself with this kill as the game was tied at a set apiece. The third and fourth sets were where the Blackbirds flew away with the match with points like this. Shantae Moore with the powerful spike, too hot for Allen. UE Blackbirds eventually winning 25-15, 22-25, 25-15, and 25-15. Men's semi-final action now featuring defending champs Deacons in the black and green up against All Stars. Early stages, Deacons on the probe. That's Isaiah Francis with the major touch. Impressive. But Stars showed why they deserve a spot in the Final Four. Jamal Small, that's good. Nevertheless, Deacons meant business on the night and welcome Akeem Mears to the party. That's brilliant. They took the first set 29-27 and the second 25-18. Final set, Deacons large and in charge. Caden Hoyt with a powerful cross-court shot. Marvelous. And Haley Emmanuel Turney put the exclamation mark on the match with this shot as Deacons marched into the finals with a 29-27, 25-18 and 25-19 win over Stars. Now to the last men's semi. Foundation in the black and yellow looking to join their ladies team in the finals, playing against Chargers. What a way to start. Brandon Leonce down the middle with pace, exquisite. But Chargers benefited from some good blocking at the net. Check this out. That's good. They took the first two sets, 26-24 and 25-23. Although they were trailing, Foundation must be given credit for fighting. Jaden Batson, that was unstoppable. However, Chargers showed their worth first and continued to play well, going on to win 26-24, 25-23, and 25-22. And Mark Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
Wendy, I'll take a second break here. Come back later with some basketball.
Okay, Mark. We all know who won that final. Up next on CBC's Newsnight, the Business Report. In tonight's Business Report, 1628 is an all-inclusive optical shop established by Anmar Brathwaite. She talks to the Business Report about how the company got started. Trevor Thorpe reports.
Complaints over the price of glasses in Barbados motivated young entrepreneur Anmar Brathwaite to do something about it. That's how 1628 came about, and while Miss Brathwaite is quick to admit it's a tough market, she believes her competitive advantage comes from her focus on fashion and price.
1628 is basically a frames company. We provide the prescription glasses, and then you go to your optician and they will give you the lens to put into the glasses, so we provide the frames.
She says despite the presence of some long-standing players in the market, she is encouraged by the public's response.
My business was around before it was in the YES program, but the YES program gave me the knowledge that I needed to open my doors to the public. I was online at first, so I literally transitioned while I was doing the course into a physical location with the knowledge that they had given to me. Well, you'll see me at the Girlfriends Expo for sure. I did my first pop-up with them at Sky Mall, and that was successful. It was very amazing. I loved it. I had also had a fashion show with my glasses being advertised on the catwalk, so that was amazing. That was a really good experience, like beyond grateful for that experience.
Ms. Brathwaite says there's a high concentration on female fashion, but males are not left out, and children are also included.
We have shades for men, and we also have frames for men. So the men are not left out. We have for kids as well, from baby stage straight to adult stage. Females, males, everybody. So men are not left out.
And all the products can be delivered to your doorstep. Reflecting on her experience so far, the young entrepreneur says the business has its ups and downs.
We do deliveries as well, so it's kind of busy. Because if you can't get to me, I make sure I can get to you. Nobody's left out. The business is the ups and downs, but I'm thankful. Hours from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. from Monday to Sunday. So on weekends, we open until 10 p.m.
Ms. Brathwaite says the logo of the business is of great significance to her, as it is a combination of her name and birthday and that of her late brother in remembrance of him. Trevor Thorpe.
And that's it for business this evening. We'll take a break and be back with the weather.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
And we say good evening to Carrie-Ann O'Neill. Carrie-Ann, what's the weather picture?
Well, good evening to you, Wendy, and good evening, everyone. Today in Barbados, the ridge pattern was our dominant feature, but due to light winds and strong daytime heating, we experienced some showers, especially across St. James and St. Michael. The winds across the region, they are light to moderate. They're peaking at 14 knots, and Convergence maintained showers across the coastal areas of the Guianas. The maximum temperature today was 31 degrees Celsius, the minimum 25 degrees. At present, the temperature stands at 28 degrees Celsius. The relative humidity, 83%. The winds, they're coming in from the east. We take a look now at some atmospheric conditions across the region, where those warm temperatures are ranging from 26 to 29 degrees Celsius. The humidity shows moisture is building over in St. Lucia as well as Trinidad, and the winds, they are generally light to moderate across the region. We take a look now at our satellite feed, where the ridge pattern was our dominant feature, but as I said, light winds and strong daytime heating maintained some showers, especially across St. James as well as St. Michael. Now, they had up to 10 millimeters of rainfall. The winds, they are light to moderate, peaking at 14 knots. Those seas smooth to moderate in open water, with swells peaking at 1.5 meters. Now, later on tonight, we will see a few low-level clouds drifting across the island. As a result, we'll have that mix of clear as well as cloudy skies, along with a few scattered showers. Now, further south, Convergence maintained some showers, especially across the coastal areas of the Guianas. And over in the Western Caribbean, I can tell you that there is a shear line there maintaining very wet conditions. We are talking about cloudy to overcast skies, along with showers, rain and thunderstorms across most of the islands. Well, that's our first look at the weather. After the break, we'll have the forecast. Welcome back. In the forecast for tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 5:52 and will set at 5:32. The first high tide is expected at 2:37 in the early morning and the first low at 8:21 a.m. Now, those seas, they are smooth to moderate in open water, with swells peaking at 1.5 meters. The winds coming in from the east-northeast, and they're peaking at 20 kilometers per hour. For us here in Barbados tonight, well, that ridge pattern will be our dominant feature. We are expecting a mix of clear and cloudy skies, along with a few scattered showers. And over the next 3 days, a mix of sunshine, clouds and showers can be expected tomorrow. Thereafter, a trough system will maintain some scattered showers.
Time now for the second half of sports with Mark Seal.
Yes, Wendy, as we know, you're hailing for Deacons in volleyball. Chances are you're hailing for Cougars, who are now the sole leaders of the Battle of the Cats out-of-season basketball competition after they defeated Pumas in a top-of-the-table clash at BCC. Meanwhile, in the other match of that double-header, Jaguars got the first win of the contest by inflicting the first defeat for Lions. Admar Goodrich Boyce reports.
Lions in orange battling against Jaguars. We pick up the match late in the second quarter. The Lions were leading 28-26. Brandon Ruck tries his luck from downtown. That's 3 of his 6 points. the Jaguars were able to pick up buckets on the transition and never allow the Lions to establish a big lead. Here is Jamali Holder with an easy layup. Lions as well continue to collect those crucial two-pointers. Rakim Gibbons moves away from Zahir Mutara and puts up the floater. It's good. Gibbons added more points as well with this, a mid-range jumper, as Lions led 38-36 at the half. Third quarter action, Holder with a clever move, beating the traffic and driving to the bucket. Jaguars leading for the first time on the night. Building on that momentum, Jaguars started to extend their lead. Rashad Hall from beyond the arc, that's brilliant. Lions, after surrendering their lead, were still fighting. Markai Downey with a much-needed corner three. That's nothing but net. Downey was definitely feeling that shot, so let's make it 2 from 2. Back-to-back three-pointers for the Lions, but they trailed Jaguars by 10 points, 66-56 at the end of the third. Fourth quarter now, the consistent Rashid Maynard drains a tray for Lions. He had 18 points in the contest, but Jaguars through Stevenson Calendar were taking charge. Can't get his three to go, but follows up after the rebound. 2 more points for Jaguars. He had a game-high 26. Calendar continued to score points late. Look at the determination. One of the hardest working players on the court, and gets the reward. That's 2 more, as Jaguars won 79-68 over Lions. Second match featured Pumas in blue versus Cougars. Stefan Oakley wasted no time. Deep 2, Pumas on the board. But Cougars settled quickly. Captain Kazarian Adams driving to the cup, unstoppable. Adams was just warming up, all alone at the three-point line. Makes it look effortless. He was the man, scoring 23 points. Cougars took the first quarter 17-14, doing well on offense. Zachary Cave stepping to the bucket off the backboard and in. Zaid Norville was the main man for Pumas, collecting 20 points. Here he is, through the traffic to the cup. That's good. They thrilled 36-29 at the half. Move along to the final quarter now. Cougars still leading, but only by a single point. Here is Zane Gaskin, delivers a perfect Euro step to the hole, count it. But Norville shifted the lead back towards Pumas. Check this out, the corner three is nice. And it quickly turned into a three-point shooting contest. Nico Brewster now from beyond the arc. That's money in the bank for Cougars and the game as well, as Cougars took the victory 84-79. And Mark Goodrich Boys, CBC Sports.
Thanks, Anmar and Wendy, that's sports.
Thank you so much, Mark. We'll return after the break.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
That's news. Thanks for viewing. Do enjoy the rest of your evening.